There we are.
Thank you for watching and welcome Paris, the world famous Paris Debono and the...
Ivan the Magnificent.
No one knows who I am. One day I'll explain to you who I am.
Well, Ivan the Great. There was Ivan the Terrible and Ivan the Great.
Yeah.
So you're Ivan the Magnificent. That's what I think.
Great. I'm very happy to hear you say that. Thank you, Paris.
We might start with Lenormand because the Lenormand group has been left out of our talks.
Yes.
And it's also a good way to let the tarot group, which we're live in, sort of get a vibe of the Lenormand system, because a lot of the people in the tarot group do not know how Lenormand works, or if it's even a system, or if it's even real. Well, so I thought we would introduce both groups to each other.
So I believe the Lenormand is a much lesser known or much more sort of more complicated system.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say complicated. I would say it's definitely lesser known than tarot.
Who invented it? Was it a new creation at the time? Was it like a new invention, or?
I think, well, originally it was a game. It was based on coffee readings. So people would play this game where they would read the coffee at parties, coffee grounds.
Oh, right.
Sort of like tea leaf reading. And then as time went on, somebody decided to draw the symbols they were seeing in the coffee cups on a card.
Oh, right.
So sometimes, like in the coffee cup, there might be a picture of like a image of a dog, or an image of a flower, or a cloud.
Right.
And so people started, someone along the way decided to draw those on cards, and then that became the game of hope originally.
Oh, right.
And then the game of hope was around, and then there was this fortune teller, Madame Lenormand, but she was in France.
Okay.
And the game of hope was in Germany. And
but is it based on playing cards? I mean, it looks like it's got all this, the suits of a playing card, doesn't it?
There's playing cards in the Lenormand card, but they're not read like cartomancy. They're read in an unusual way, which is hard to explain. They don't really match up to cartomancy.
Right.
They're almost just like an added feature, but nobody really knows why.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So there's a little bit of mystery attached.
There's a bit of mystery. There's a bit of like cross pollination of the coffee cards, and then coffee cards have playing cards inserted on them. So the original Lenormand, which were Vienna coffee cards, didn't have the inserts, the playing cards. So it's a very complicated thing. I'm actually writing a book about it.
Okay.
I'm actually writing a book.
That would be your fifth book.
That would be the fifth book, and I've actually written the book. I just need it to be edited. And so we go through all of the, the historical stuff, and
So what is it actually based on? Is it based on mythology, or how?
Well, I have a deck here. So the Lenormand cards are based on symbols, just like you would find in a coffee cup when you're reading coffee or tea reading.
Right.
So you might have stars.
Okay.
That looks like stars in your coffee cup.
Okay. And what does stars mean?
Stars usually means like lots of different things in the air, ideas, inspirations, hopes, dreams, imagination.
Okay.
So usually it represents sort of like fantasy, things that are aspirational.
Okay.
Sometimes it could mean plenty of choices.
Hope for the future.
Could be hope. And there's the ring. Diamond ring, which represents obviously commitment, relationships, contract, binding.
Okay, yep, that makes sense.
Key,
yep.
A key, something's opening up, a new door.
Could that mean property as well?
It could be if it's with the house. Yeah, if it's a key house, it would mean a property.
Okay.
A new house.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, mice. Mice represents something's eating away at you, gnawing away at you.
Well, mice are vermin, aren't they? So that's not really a nice connotation. So the mice do have a sort of a pretty horrible connotation. Well, it was rats that carried the Black Plague.
Yeah.
But I guess mice would have as well.
Yeah.
Being
they both would. Any kind of vermin that carried fleas. Yeah. And mice also would have destroyed food and crops as well.
So something that's eating away at the person, and it's not a good. It has a bad connotation. I guess
Yeah,
you could say.
absolutely. And we've got the bear.
So the bear is interesting. This is something that I wanted to ask you actually.
The bear originally was called the savage beast.
Yes, that's right. Something that can kill you.
Yeah, in the more olden books. And then over time, the original bear was actually a lion.
Oh, right.
A ferocious lion. And in some of the older decks, it looks more like a lion. But over time, it got drawn as a bear. Now, the bear could be powerful people, authority figures. It could be people with money, because a bear is something that is big, strong, dominating, fierce. Some people see it as a bit like a mother bear as well. So sometimes it can have the connotation of being kind of like a protector.
Okay, yeah.
And sometimes it could also represent money, because it's a bear. You know, bears eat through the spring and summer to gain weight, so then they can hibernate in the winter.
Okay.
So it's about saving money and having money and wealth. So some people read it as a wealth card, a money card. Some people read it as a protector card. I don't. I read it more as a wild card that you can't control. There's an element of something you cannot control, like a government situation. Like it could even be authority figure. Okay. So it has a mixed vibe.
So does it have a dangerous connotation?
I don't see it as a good card personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not really a good card. Okay.
No.
Okay, so can the bear mean legal matters as well? Like I know the lion in Lenormand can also mean legal matters.
Law and order. The bear could represent, I wouldn't say legal matters, I would say more like powerful people.
Yeah,
so
okay.
for example, if you were asking about a lawyer and you got the bear, it could be that you have a very strong lawyer, or you're asking about your opponent's lawyer and they got the bear, they would be that they're a ferocious lawyer. But usually a bear would be more about being powerful and ferocious.
So originally the bear was the beast. A bit like maybe like the wild
beast.
Okay, a bit like the Tower card in a way. Do you think, or?
It's very hard to connect Lenormand with tarot.
Yeah, I see.
Because they just don't match. Some things just don't match.
I found that myself because I bought a book on Lenormand and I was looking at the combinations and I felt that it had a very different sort of a flavour.
Oh yeah,
you know, it was
totally
really
different.
Yeah, and actually the insights that I got did prove to be true, but it took a few months to come out actually. But it was very accurate in two ways. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very direct. Lenormand cards are very direct, but they're not. See, a lot of tarot people, the problem they have, and I did this myself when I first started learning Lenormand, was I tried to read Lenormand like tarot, because I came from a background of tarot, so I just assumed it was like tarot and I could read it like tarot, but it's not at all like tarot. It's very, very different. So you need to learn Lenormand separately.
Okay, and Lenormand, I believe, is meant to be read as groups of combinations of 3 cards or something together.
You can do 2, 3, 5, 9, and then the grand tableau, which is the whole deck.
Yeah.
So you can lay them out in different spreads, but you don't read them on their own. You don't read them as one card. You have to have a pair.
Okay.
Because they tell a story. So, for example, if you had, say, key bear, the key is to be powerful, or power is the key.
Okay.
Force or aggression is the key, or you need to unlock your own aggression.
All those hairy bears out there.
It could be a hairy person, literally, sometimes as well. Yeah.
Could be a bear. Could be a hairy bear.
Yeah. The next one is the tree. Tree's another interesting one.
Okay. The tree means slow and steady growth to me.
Yeah.
Is that what it means to you?
It can be, and the tree also represents health and well-being.
Okay.
So a tree is something that grows in a healthy way, hopefully. So this can represent slow growth, things take time, but it also is associated with health. So often people have health issues when this one comes up.
Okay, well I always remember the Arnold Schwarzenegger was called the Austrian oak.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they called him the big oak tree because he was so muscular and strong and just looking good.
Oh, that's good. I didn't know that. I didn't know that one. Yeah, so the tree in a love question can be stable but a bit boring. So it could be a relationship that grows slowly, but it could also be about lacking excitement.
The long run.
The long run. Longevity is good. Yeah. Then you have the woman, which is the female client or a female you're asking about.
Okay.
And then we have the fox.
Okay. Now, what does the fox mean? Because this can mean multiple things, but to me, it sort of means that there's a little bit of deception going on.
Deception, trickery. Someone who's looking out for themselves, selfish. This one's actually very good for people that work on their own or do their own job, because a fox is self-sufficient. They have to hunt and look after themselves. So this can be a very good one for people that want to start their own business or do their own business. Yeah.
Somehow for me, I can't get past the fox being a sort of it has a bit of a negative connotation.
Cheat. Yeah, it's a cheat. Yeah, it's not a good card for love questions because it represents cheating or cunning or selfishness.
Okay, so it's a bit like the combination of the Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky card when someone gets it in a love question. It's not good. Usually means there's something going on here that's not honest.
And how do you do you just tell the client that? I mean, how do you actually deal with that when the client's getting a number of?
It depends on the client. Some clients can handle, direct, say, oh, there's something unclear or dodgy in your relationship, and other clients you have to be a little bit more gentle with. Depends on the client.
Yeah.
Sometimes they might even say, I feel like my boyfriend or girlfriend's not being honest to me, and then they get the fox. So you can say, well, it looks that way too. It looks like there's something dishonest going on here.
Yeah, but I always find in my readings that the cards sort of go easy on people sometimes. Have you ever noticed that before? Like when there's something going on, but they want to tell it in such a way that it like breaks into the person. It's not too harsh.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I've had experience where the tarot, for example, if I'm doing tarot and it might be a bit harsh, then I might switch over to Lenormand and say, give me a second opinion, and then the Lenormand is a bit softer, or vice versa.
Okay.
And then I know, as the reader, to soften it up a little bit. Maybe I was a bit too harsh.
Yeah.
So the cards are almost telling me to soften it.
Yeah, the tarot can be a bit harsh sometimes, for sure, but I mean, what do you got next? I know there's quite a confronting card I found was the coffin.
The coffin is pretty confronting, and the cross is also not good. The cross represents suffering, burden, block, test. The coffin is pretty confronting, especially if you have a client who's a bit of a scary, client. I had this happen to me the other day, actually. I had a client who was very sensitive, and she got the coffin card in her 9-card spread. It was at the top of the card. I remember it was at the top of the spread, and she said, "Oh my God, somebody's going to die."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, you're asking about your love life, so I think it's more about your love dying, or your love is a bit like a dead end." So the context was her love life, and I said to her, "It can mean death, but it often is something like dead weight."
Yeah.
But I did have another client the other day too who had the coffin, the lily, and the cross. That's to me like a real death.
And what about the idea that the coffin is a box? So maybe things her heart is in a box. It's not ready to come out yet.
I had this combination the other day for a client: cross, coffin, lily. And let me just think. I said to her, there may be someone passing away in the family. And I said to her, do you have someone who is not healthy? And she said I think it was her in-laws' mother was extremely old, like she was 89 or something.
Okay.
And she was not healthy. and I said to her that could be what it is, because it shows the lily can sometimes mean old and frail old, and then the lily and the coffin together to me is a funeral, because people take flowers to the coffin, and then the cross is obviously the headstone or the and she. So the question, I think her question was about her relationship, but when I pulled out extra cards, those 3 cards came up together. And I said, either you're wanting to end your relationship, or there could be a death in the family, which I usually don't really say, but because it came up so clear to me, I was like, I have to say it, because the cards are kind of like prodding me to.
Okay.
So that's why I said to her, but I think she knew who it was likely to be.
Yeah.
She just said, she said she had a few elderly members of her family and her partner's family, so it's probably one of those.
Okay.
And she also told me that there was a recent, one of the old elder family passed away a few months ago. So
we've looked at a couple of the sort of bad or more serious cards. What are the really uplifting cards of the Lenormand deck?
Uplifting could be the clover.
Oh, that's a nice card, yeah. So what does that mean?
Happy, luck, fun, something cute, nice. What else have we got? The dog. The dog could be a loyal friend.
Yeah.
Friend zone. Whenever I see the dog, I always, if they're asking about romance, I say maybe it's better to be friends with this person, not romantic.
And do you read these cards just upright?
Upright, yeah. You only read these upright. And then the flowers is very uplifting. It's very beautiful, something pretty.
Is that garden, or there's a different card?
There's a different card for garden.
So what is garden? What's the difference between garden and flowers, or bouquet?
Flowers,
is it bouquet or flowers?
Both. It could be bouquet or flowers.
Okay.
So the bouquet is the French name, and English is the flowers.
Okay.
So it depends if your deck's made in England or made in France.
Right.
But the flowers are something pretty, a gift. But then we have the garden. The garden is where you meet people in the garden.
Okay.
So it could be a meeting place, it could be a social situation. You have the sun as well, brightly shining. You have the heart, which is love.
Is there a sun? There's
Sun
a sun.
card?
There's a sun. Oh, great. Okay, that's a very uplifting card for me.
Yeah, the sun
Always
is great.
feel like-
It's good luck. It's positive. It's bright.
Yeah. I ask you. I noticed. I think with your deck, it's the road.
The road.
But then in the book that I bought, it said the crossroad. It was called. So is there a crossroad and a road, or is it just
It's
the
just
same
the
card?
same.
It's the same card.
Usually in Lenormand, the road has a fork in the road.
Okay.
So some people call it the crossroad.
Yeah.
Some books or some cards are just called the road.
Right.
Some it could be roads with an S on the end.
Because I think in my mind, like being at a crossroads is a very important sort of thing to come to terms with in life.
Yeah.
A lot of people are at that point at the moment in their lives. So the road itself could mean just a journey, but a crossroads is quite clear that you have a choice.
I find with Lenormand cards, it depends on the deck as well.
Okay.
See, sometimes you'll buy a deck where the road is very distinctly a fork road.
Okay.
So I would read that as a choice. But I have seen decks where the road is long.
Okay.
So I would read that as a long journey ahead. And then I've also seen decks where the road could be like winding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Lenormand you're supposed to read each card from its meaning, not from the image, but I also use the image as well.
Okay.
So it's not like tarot where you can just look at the image and just feel things.
Yeah.
Lenormand you're supposed to know the meaning of each card.
Yeah, that's what I struggled with a bit. I could see from the book, I was like, my God, this is going to take years.
Yeah, well, it will take a few years to master. But what I do, because I'm an artist, I do look at the picture and I use that as also more information. But I know the meaning of the card, so I don't rely just on the picture.
Yeah.
If anyone does Lenormand just from the pictures, they're usually going to not be reading it properly.
Yeah.
You have to know the meaning, the traditional meaning in Lenormand.
Yeah, I could see that it requires quite a bit of study, and it's quite a strict
Yeah, it's very strict. It's not like tarot where you can just read it intuitively. If you want to read Lenormand properly, you need to learn how to read it as it was designed.
And how do you feel about the accuracy of Lenormand comparatively to something like tarot or gypsy playing cards, something like that?
They're all accurate. It depends on your skill.
Okay.
I don't believe the tool is accurate or not. It's the reader.
Yeah.
So if you're a reader and you're skillful and you use playing cards, Lenormand cards, tarot cards, whatever, you're going to be accurate because your skill is what's important, not the tool. A lot of people put emphasis on the tool. They think the tool is going to make them a better reader, where that's not the case. It doesn't really matter what you read, as long as you read it well.
So why would someone choose to study and learn Lenormand as opposed to tarot or gypsy playing cards or one of these other things?
I think some people who like... see, tarot is a big system, and you have to be very dedicated to study it. Lenormand is also a big system, but it's a bit more like it's a little bit more sort of like an organized system where this card means this card means this card means this. Okay. And it's just it's not easier to learn. It's maybe a little bit less
open to interpretation.
Yeah, open to interpretation, and it's because it's only 36 cards. It's less to learn than 78 of the tarot. So whenever you know what, when people come to me now to learn tarot, if they're a person, I had one the other day. It was an older lady. She wanted to learn tarot. I could see that she was not going to memorize tarot.
Okay.
I could see that her memory was not great.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I automatically said to her, "Look, why don't you learn Lenormand instead? Lenormand is 20 cards."
Yeah. Yeah.
And she wasn't too fussed about whether it's tarot. She just wanted to learn how to read cards. And I said, start with Lenormand. It's only 20 cards to learn. And then if you're really good at it, then I'll teach you tarot. And then today I had another client she wanted to learn tarot. And I said to her, how dedicated are you to study? And she said, well, she doesn't have a lot of time. I said, well, why don't you learn Lenormand as well?
Yep.
So I usually judge from a client. If they're dedicated, I will say, sure, jump into tarot, do it. But if they're just doing it more like, I just want to learn, a few things, I want to learn if someone's in love with me or not, and I want to be able to read for myself, I would not recommend they jump into tarot. I would recommend they do something smaller, like Lenormand, or even smaller is Lenormand. And then I can suggest to the client or the student, okay, now you've mastered that, you should now learn something bigger.
Okay, well that makes sense. So let's have a look at I see that you've designed all of those images yourself. You've created those.
Yeah. This is my yellow. This is called the Yellow Deck because it's yellow, and this deck I made to mimic Rider-Waite. So Rider-Waite cards are often yellow.
Oh yeah.
That's the reason and I also designed the frame like it too.
Okay.
So if you notice, it looks like a
very
Rider-Waite.
straightforward. The thing for me that I found was, okay, I can understand what the individual cards mean, but then they're meant to be read in combination.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going to struggle a bit.
All right. Well, let's do some. So we've got some questions.
Oh, great. We've got some viewer questions.
We've got heaps.
Okay.
So we've got one. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. So how about you use them and I can use the Lenormand. Do you want to?
All right. Yeah. Okay,
we'll try both. How about that?
So you can read the question and we'll go for it.
All right, so we've got some viewer questions here and we're going to do Lenormand and Lenormand.
Lenormand is a 20 card system that is based on Lenormand, but it's 20 cards.
20
so let's
cards.
see.
Okay. All right, so we'll start with Arabel. We answered your question last week, I think. Thank you very much for asking again. Will this be my professional position until retirement? Or will I end up in a leadership position? Thank you very much, Arabel. And another business-related question from Arabel.
Okay, let's see.
Thank you, Arabel. We like our people that continue to contribute.
Follow, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's do a 5-card spread.
Okay.
So I'm just
5-card
shuffling.
Lenormand.
Just shuffling. I'm going to pull out one card. I'll do them one at a time. So we have the Lily.
Will this be my professional position until retirement, or will I end up in a leadership position?
Well, Lily represents being patient, and it also represents good reputation. You know, a lily is a flower that's beautiful. It's regal. So this is a good one. It usually means wisdom as well.
Doesn't it mean offer as well? Like
it can be an offer because it's a flower, and flowers offer themselves to the bees. So it's something attractive. Let's see what it's with. The house. So the house is very good for being stable.
Yep.
In a job. So it could be like long-lasting stability, good foundation, good structure.
Yep. So that could be where Arabel is working.
Garden. Garden represents lots of people, working with many people.
She's quite a socialite.
Social.
Arabel. Yeah, we can tell that you're quite a socialite, Arabel, so thank you.
Yep. And then we go into the ring, which is a contract.
Yep. That's a
and the last one we have is the stars.
That's for the future.
So that was a really good run of cards.
But
So what was that question again?
Will this be my professional position until retirement, or will I end up in a leadership position?
I think she's going to have this position for a long time, especially if she works with a lot of people. And the stars at the end indicates lots of communication as well. The ring is a long-lasting entity. The house is long-lasting.
Yeah.
The ring and the house and the lily are not very much about change. They're more about staying where you are.
Stable,
long-term. You know, so to me, it's more like long-term stability.
You're a star, Arabel. It's like that song, or the Disney movie. About I forgot what it's called, but it's about stars. So you end up being a star, superstar.
I don't know if she's going to be in leadership. It looks more like she's going to be supportive to me.
Yeah, she's more of a talker. We know that. Quite a curious person. So you're going to be, you know, mustering the troops up and that sort of thing.
Communicating.
Yep. Good talker.
Supporting, building slowly,
yep.
Being grounded, being stable, being reliable. That's the vibe I'm getting.
But you will, you know, I guess at some point you will have that opportunity, and I guess that's what the star is saying.
Yeah, there's opportunity for expansion, but maybe not so much leadership.
Okay.
Maybe she's more of a supportive person.
We'll just do 3 cards with the Lenormand for Arabel, just out of interest, just a real quick. Now these are my cards that I've had for a long time.
These are Lenormand.
Yep.
They're worn. They're very ancient.
I need to pull them out of the deck. Actually, why don't you pull them?
I'll hold them for you.
Okay.
You can pull them out. Yeah. So I'll fan them out.
Arabel, you're getting the extra
advice. Let's ask advice for Arabel.
Okay. What's the advice for Arabel? Okay, we've got
2, 3.
3. All right. So she's got mice. So there's something
bothering
a little
her.
Bit of mess. Yeah. She wants that promotion. Then she's got the key.
She's got an opportunity, and the heart.
She's got the heart.
The heart again is supportive.
Yeah.
It's supportive. So I think she's stressing herself a little bit, but the opportunity comes through partnering with others. Again, it's not leadership role, because a heart to me is not leadership, it's supportive. Yeah. So I'm going more with supportive. Yeah. Is that what you feel?
Yeah, I think so. There's only so many chiefs and there's lots of Indians. Maybe, I don't know.
She's going to be a support person.
Yeah. We get a good feeling about you, Arabel.
You know, there's a really...
I get a nice warm feeling in my heart when I think about this lady, so I think you can always try for that leadership position. I think it would be available to you one day.
Yeah, I think if she really wanted that, I think she could get there, but I think she may find that her skills are more about supporting a group or
keeping
working
the team
with people.
Together.
Yeah. Nurturing a team.
Yep.
Being a sort of like wise support person.
Yes.
I think if she was kind of like a boss, I don't know if she'd really work with that.
Yeah.
If she was for hiring and firing, I don't know if that's her best role.
Yeah.
Her best role could be more nurturing people.
I always say in the West, we say the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. You know, so when you look at someone in a leadership position, actually you don't really want that. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of stress involved in it.
Yeah.
But keep in touch, Arabel. Shantel McMullen, will my daughter's boyfriend return and give the relationship another chance? She is heartbroken. Thank you.
Ooh.
Thank you, Shantel. I know what it's like when your heart is broken. So I do feel for you and your daughter. That sounds very sad.
Scythe. Something got cut off.
Yep.
With the scythe.
Just straight from the first card.
And then we've got the ship. Somebody took off. So cut and run.
Somebody left. Yeah.
Somebody left. The lily. Lily could be like healing in this case.
Yeah. Yeah.
Woman is your daughter, so your daughter needs to heal. That somebody's cut and ran.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one is the mountain.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like he will return. It looks like what it's saying is there's something that's blocked. She needs to heal her heart or heal her emotions, and somebody's cut and travelled away. So it doesn't really look like a return to me.
To me, I feel like she's looking at the lily, which means, she's hoping for a return, but
she's hoping for it. But
the mountain am I right in saying the mountain means the course of life, or like having some burdens or just experience in life?
Yeah, it could be a burden, could be like heavy experience. Could be that she's going to learn from the heaviness. But a mountain is usually like a bit of a dead end. It's something that you can't sort of get through.
You have to go around
it.
Let's quickly do the Lenono.
Yep.
Do 3 cards for the Lenono. Okay, there's the heart. Look at that.
Okay.
That is quite amazing with the Lenono.
Love and the moon.
The moon.
The moon could be moody and a little bit emotional.
Yeah.
The sun.
It's all going to work out in the end.
Going to work out, but I think the sun is also about her seeing the light.
Seeing the light, yeah.
So what it shows me, how I read this, is her heart is moody, and she's going to see the light. That's how I would read that. And she's going to go from darkness to light.
Yeah. Look, it's. I get the feeling that this Chantel's daughter is maybe a teenager or a young adult, and that she's gone through this heartbreak. It's really hard when you're that age. When you're.
The other thing about the sun and moon combination in Lenono, the sun and moon means karmic lesson.
Okay.
Because the sun and the moon are both astral bodies.
Okay.
Okay, and they never touch. They always rotate, but they never touch. So this sometimes means that she has going to learn a massive lesson, a karmic lesson.
Yep.
And learning that the sun and the moon still turn regardless of how we heal.
Yes.
It is a big karmic lesson. So, yeah.
Well, clearly, Chantel, you liked the boyfriend, and your daughter liked her boyfriend. It's maybe it's a lesson for both of you. But somehow I got the feeling from there that he will come back, but maybe only for a short time. Maybe not. He's not going to be the one that your daughter marries.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say I get a feeling that he will come back from those cards. But it's not. You know what I mean? Like you have these. Like I had a girlfriend for 3 years when I was 18, and then that ended, and then I met. You know what I mean? Like you that's the course of life. That's the mountain. That's the mountain.
You can't hold on to people. You've got to go with what is rather than what you want to force, or you shouldn't force it. If he's not happy and he wants to go, I think the daughter has to understand this is part of nature and you can't force things.
Yeah. A human being is not a possession. A human being is, a human being.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard lesson to learn sometimes. Okay, next question. Thank you, Shantel. If you can let us know what happens with your daughter, and we are quite interested to keep abreast of what's going on. So next question is Matthew R. Dennison. Will I get a full-time job in the near future? Thank you, Matthew.
Okay.
That's a really good question for us to answer for you. I think I'm going to answer it right now. I believe you will one day.
Let's see. Stars. so he's hopeful.
Yes.
And he has to open up his network, communicate, network, send out CVs, send out messages. The stars can be very good for anything to do with the internet. Well, it's the network. So if his job has a part of it where it's very much like network AI programs.
Well, he's quite a
ring. Okay, so stars and rings. So he's hoping for a contract.
Yep.
And a commitment.
He's quite active on this page. He's got points.
Snake. Okay, snake means it's not going to happen straightforward. There may be some twists and turns. So he needs to also accept that perhaps he doesn't get there from at point A to point B. It might go A, B, C, D, and then finally he gets there.
Okay.
Sometimes traditionally the snake could also mean a woman that's difficult. So it could be that a woman may be a part of his progress. But it may also not work out with her, so she might cause some problems. It could be someone he might be being interviewed by, and then they think that he's not right for the job. But I've also found with experience that the snake sometimes means second round offer too. So sometimes it means he doesn't get what he wants straight away, but it could come around again and he gets it the second time.
Well, I reckon Matthew should DM Arabel.
Sun is good. Sun is...
that's a good card. Doesn't matter what's happened.
And then the letter to communicate.
Okay, that's a good
not bad. It's not bad. But I think what I'm getting from this is he needs to communicate, open new horizons with the star. There is a contract out there. He's quite committed. It may not happen the way he wants. It might be a little bit of a bend. However, there is success and there is communication. Again, we've got the stars and the letter. Those two together usually mean internet communication industry.
Okay,
that's
an interesting
like
take
internet.
on that. Yeah, well, he is a contributor to this group.
So he may be already good on the internet.
Yeah.
But that's definitely something he has a talent in.
All right,
let's
try with the Lenormand. And we'll just give these a quick shuffle, and then I'll pick a couple of cards. Okay, so Matthew, you've got the clouds, so you are disappointed.
He's a bit worried, a bit unclear. He has to cut the worry. So he's got starts off with the clouds. He needs to cut those clouds off, okay? And after he cuts the clouds...
We've got two.
Okay. After he cuts the clouds, there is an opportunity of work. The lion represents work. And the moon. The moon is good in a work question. Generally it means a good reputation, but the moon could also mean feeling a bit moody. So again, there's this feeling of like sort of fluctuations, and he has to cut the worry out from the past. But he does have success with the lion, so there is success there. But I think he might have to be careful of overly worrying.
Yeah, well, this one gave a different flavour than
slightly different,
didn't it?
Yeah, but still similar, because we've got the snake in the middle, which shows that he's not going to be totally clear.
Okay.
And he might feel, insecure, unsure.
I really don't like the snake card for me. I always found it had bad connotations. Now, it's also in the Lenormand pack as well, and
Lenormand.
Yeah, I just never liked it.
Yeah, it's in both. See, these Lenormand are based on the Lenormand, so they have a lot of similar cards.
And how many cards? There's 20 of these.
20 in
right?
Lenormand, 36 in Lenormand.
Okay, and these are not really meant to be read in combination with each other, are they? Like
you
the
can do
way?
pairs.
Oh, you can do pairs.
You can do pairs and 3 and 5.
Okay.
You can do all the same spreads with the Lenormand as you can with the Lenormand.
Okay. Because you've written a book about these Lenormand. It's a great book. I own it, and I've also got these cards. These are my cards.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to talk about with Lenormand. There is. But let's get this last question out of the way. Kate Carrera Manuel, how will I manage to build my own house? Thank you very much.
Let's see how she will manage to build her own.
Yeah. Is there a hammer card? And there's not a hammer card.
There's no hammer.
I think you're going to need a hammer if you want to build your own house.
Yeah. Or maybe money to pay someone who's got a hammer.
That's true. That's true.
So let's see what she gets. Tree. Tree's going to take time to build those foundations.
Yeah, but that's wood as well.
Slow
she needs
and
wood.
steady. Yeah.
She needs
Could be
wood.
Literally wood.
So before we go on, is there a money card in Lenormand?
Yeah, the main money card is the fish.
Oh, right.
A bear can also be money.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ring can be valuable things.
Okay.
Bear, here we go. Bear.
Okay.
So it shows here slow growing like a tree. Bear, money is needed.
Mm-hmm.
Now the bear could also be authority. Could be getting people that
approvals.
know how to do things like builders and approval and government and all that. So it's showing slow, steady and strength. Okay. Then we go to the sun. Yes, sun is good. She's going to see the light. She's going to have success. The house, literally a house.
Wow. This is incredible.
And letter. I think it's about really looking at papers and and contracts and legal stuff and getting clear on all of that. So we've got the tree, slow growing, the bear, authority and money, the sun, success, letter is information, and the house. So it looks like it very good. She will find a way. But she does have to get maybe permits, approvals and all that kind of stuff. Very, very clear.
That's right, as well as cutting down a few trees, I'd say. Get some
renewable ones. Don't go out into the forest and cut trees.
All right, so we're going to give you 3 Lenormand cards, okay? So what are we
Lion.
going to do?
Lion is authority
it's
again.
the same as the bear, right?
Mm-hmm, similar, yeah. Key, yeah, new house or new
dwelling,
door. Yeah. And snake, yeah. So she's going to have to deal with some. Interestingly, the snake can also mean wiring.
Oh,
like
okay.
electrical cords, plumbing.
Oh, right.
So it could be saying that she needs to get authority, and then she needs to, that's the key, authority is the key. And then it may be some delay, setbacks, but it could also literally mean plumbing, wiring is maybe going to be a part of that. Now, just before we finish up, one thing I wanted to share with the Lenormand and the Lenormand people, right? Mm-hmm. The snake I have found over the years of reading. Now, yes, it can be a woman that's interfering, right? And it can be someone that's toxic and poisonous. However, I have found, especially when people are asking, will I get a job? It often means the situation is still good if it's with good cards, but it's not straightforward. So I have often had clients that will get the snake and they don't, for example, they might be asking, will they get the job? And they have the snake but very good cards following it. Mm-hmm. And I always say to them, you either don't get this job but you'll get the next one, or you may think you want this job but you end up in this job instead, but it's still good. So often I see it as a second round offer, or if it doesn't go, if you don't get in the first time, try again and you'll get in the second time.
Okay.
I've seen that over and over with people, that it usually means something is delayed or not straightforward. Okay. A snake can't move in a straightforward line, it has to wriggle.
Yes, correct.
Right? Correct. So often it means the person has to, if they want that job, they see it straight ahead, but they have to wriggle their way towards it. So it may not be a straight line, but it doesn't necessarily mean they won't get it. Okay. However, if it's with bad cards, they won't get it, right? Okay. So if it was snake, mice,
the
scythe or something bad, then they won't get it. You know, clouds. If it was sort of like snake, mice, clouds, then they're not going to get it.
Yeah.
But if it was with good cards, it just means they'll get it, but not straight away.
And can I ask you, why is the snake in a cup? Is there any
this is just this artwork is one I made up it's based on the Lenormand, on the tarot.
Isn't there a snake in the cup in the 8 of Cups?
7 of Cups.
7 of Cups.
Yeah, that's where I took it from.
Yeah.
Because this deck was inspired by Rider-Waite.
Oh, okay,
so I lifted a lot of images from the Rider-Waite. Okay. So the snake is from the 7 of Cups. The fox is from the moon. The bird is from the Ace of Cups in the Rider-Waite.
Oh, right.
The sun is from the sun.
Should have used the lobster for the.
Could have. I could have used.
What's
the lobster.
with the lobster in the moon? That doesn't. I don't know. What
Usually
that
it's primordial, something primordial.
Okay. Well, I like lobster.
The fox is from the moon card. The heart is from the Empress card.
Oh, that's a great card.
I used the Rider-Waite as a basis of this deck. Then this is a knight. Looks like a knight.
Yep.
And what else is there? The lily is from the Fool's Hand.
Oh, of course, yes.
The moon is from the Moon card as well. So yes, I use the Rider-Waite as a foundation for this deck. And that's why I made it yellow. Both Lenormand and Lenormand are both yellow because the Rider-Waite deck uses a lot of yellow.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so it was just inspired by it, you know.
Well, we're learning something every time we do a live, folks.
Yep. There you go.
So I think we're drawn to an end again this evening. So thank you very much for watching.
Okay, well this is Paris Debono of the Fortune Teller Shop, and this is Ivan the Magnificent.
Coming to you from Sydney, Australia. Thank you very much for watching.